For most Americans, the Vietnam War was a distant conflict seen in images of jungles and cities like Saigon and Hue. But beyond Vietnam's borders, a hidden war raged in Laos and Cambodia, one waged in secrecy, far from public scrutiny. This was a war of covert operations, proxy armies, and massive bombing campaigns, all designed to sever the enemy's supply lines. The official story focused on Vietnam, but the real logistics hub was in neighboring countries. Determined to win, the US violated international law, expanding the war in secret. The secret war was not just about strategy, it was about people, hill tribes, farmers, and entire nations caught in the crossfire. Official maps showed one war. Secret maps revealed a sprawling conflict that ignored borders and left devastation still felt today. To truly understand the Vietnam War, we must look into the misty mountains of Laos and the forests of Cambodia, where the most brutal chapters were written. The American government fought two wars, one for the cameras, and a far larger one, hidden from view. The secret war began with the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a vast network of jungle routes running from North Vietnam through Laos and Cambodia into the south. For Hanoi, it was the lifeline of the war, moving troops and supplies to the front. The US knew it couldn't win in South Vietnam, while the trail remained open. But the trail ran through neutral countries, making open attacks politically impossible. Presidents Johnson and Nixon faced a dilemma: stop the supplies without admitting to a wider war. The answer was secrecy. Covert operations led by the CIA, denied bombing missions, and classified cross-border raids. The war in Laos and Cambodia was kept off the books, hidden from the public and Congress. The trail itself was a marvel, constantly rebuilt and fiercely defended, making it a deadly target for American pilots. North Vietnamese workers endured relentless bombing and hardship, seeing the trail as a symbol of resolve. For the US, it was a hydra, wounded but never killed, fueling a war with no end in sight. The fight for the trail defined the shadow conflict in Southeast Asia. In the mountains of Laos, the CIA found unlikely allies, the Hmong, an ethnic minority with a history of resistance. Armed and trained by the CIA, the Hmong became the backbone of the secret army, disrupting North Vietnamese operations and tying down enemy troops. Their base at Long Tieng became a covert hub, supplied by Air America's unmarked planes. Led by General Vang Pao, the Hmong fought bravely, rescuing downed pilots and gathering intelligence. But the cost was immense. Villages became battalions, and children were sent to fight. The Hmong suffered staggering casualties, their society shattered by a war not of their making. When the US withdrew in 1975, the Hmong were abandoned, left to face retribution from the new communist regime. Tens of thousands fled across the Mekong, many perishing along the way. For the Hmong, the secret war's end brought only more suffering. They were America's most loyal allies, left to face their fate alone. While the CIA fought on the ground, the US Air Force unleashed Operation Barrel Roll, a relentless bombing campaign over Laos. From 1964 to 1973, more bombs fell on Laos than on Germany and Japan in World War II combined. Bombers targeted the Ho Chi Minh Trail, but the bombs often missed, devastating villages, farms, and ancient sites like the Plain of Jars. To survive, civilians moved into caves and tunnels, emerging only at night. Cluster bombs, or bommies, were especially deadly. Many failed to explode, becoming landmines that still threaten lives today. An estimated 80 million unexploded bombies remain scattered across Laos. Decades later, farmers and children are still killed or maimed by these hidden dangers. The bombing's legacy is a country contaminated by unexploded ordnance, with the threat persisting long after the war ended. The secret war in Laos didn't end with the last bomb. It continues in every field and village scarred by the conflict. The rain of fire left a deadly inheritance that endures. For Laos, the war's most lasting impact is buried in the soil. In 1969, President Nixon escalated the war's secrecy, authorizing Operation Menu, a covert B-52 bombing campaign in Cambodia. Cambodia, officially neutral, harbored North Vietnamese sanctuaries along its border. Nixon and Kissinger decided these bases had to be destroyed, but the missions were hidden behind false reports and codenames like Breakfast and Lunch. Over a year, More than 100,000 tons of bombs fell on Cambodia, while US officials denied any involvement. The bombing destabilized Cambodia's government, leading to a coup and plunging the country into civil war. The chaos drove many Cambodians to the Khmer Rouge, a radical communist group that grew rapidly in the turmoil. When the secret was exposed, in 1973, it sparked outrage in the US and calls for Nixon's impeachment. In Cambodia, the real cost was catastrophic. The Khmer Rouge seized power in 1975, unleashing genocide. The secret bombing became a symbol of unchecked executive power and its tragic consequences. The war's hidden front in Cambodia changed the fate of an entire nation. The end of the Vietnam War brought no peace to Laos and Cambodia, only new horrors. In Laos, the Hmong faced persecution or exile, their homeland ruined and littered with unexploded bombs. In Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge, empowered by chaos, killed nearly a quarter of the population in a campaign of terror. The American goal was to destroy enemy sanctuaries, but the result was the destruction of entire societies. Today, millions of unexploded bombies still claim lives, especially children, making farming and daily life perilous. Clearing these deadly remnants is slow and dangerous, a task that will take generations. The land itself bears scars. Forests destroyed, fields cratered, and ecosystems disrupted by bombing and chemicals. The environmental devastation has made survival even harder for rural communities. The legacy of the secret war is written in the earth and in the memories of those who survived. The cost of secrecy and proxy war is measured in lives lost and landscapes forever changed. The secret war in Laos and Cambodia is a cautionary tale of hidden conflict and unintended consequences. Fought in the shadows, it was justified by Cold War fears, but unleashed suffering that still echoes today. Secrecy allowed the war to spiral, eroding trust at home and fueling the anti-war movement. The secret war, meant to help win in Vietnam, instead contributed to America's loss of public support and ultimate withdrawal. Its legacy lives on, in Hmong refugees, in bomb disposal teams, and in the silent killing fields of Cambodia. The costs of war are never fully known, and the innocent pay the highest price. The attempt to wage a hidden, surgical war led to one of the most tragic chapters of the era. The bombs have stopped, but the echoes of this hidden history remain, urging us to remember and learn.